Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Oh man, I'm just on my way back now from Essen. I've been home now for a day and a half. I'm doing my best to readjust to the time zone difference, which is 6 hours ahead in Germany from here in Canada. And so I've been hitting the bed a little bit earlier each night, just trying to catch up. But I gotta tell you, I am pumped. What a great show! We were able to show Cities of Venus to a lot of people. Some of our backers actually came by, which is amazing to meet some of you face to face. And I also got a chance to meet with Skygame, our manufacturer, and go through some of the recent component adjustments that they've made and see kind of where we're at with some of these copies. So I thought we would do a quick live here and show you guys what I have and my thoughts, and I'm feeling pretty good. I got to tell you, I'm feeling amazing. So we're gonna walk through that. I also have the artwork that that we've done, or the new cards. I guess I'm going to show you some of the cards here. The next step from there is I'm going to send some of these cards where we've used AI as a stand-in. We'll send off to the illustrator, say here's kind of what we're trying to do. He'll then re-illustrate in his style, and then we're pretty much ready to go to production. I did come across something that I didn't realize was an error in our cards until I was doing the Game Crafter prototype and testing those with these boards before I went to Essen. So I'm going to talk about that in a second as well. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about the boards. So this is the most recent board that I got from the manufacturer. It's a little bit banged up because, again, this has gone halfway around the world now. But I got 8 of these, and I gotta tell you, they're awesome. So they're flat. Again, this one's been in the box, so it's a little bit bent, but I mean, it's still, for being traveling the distance it did, it's quite flat. So I'm pretty happy with that. The cards, how they slide in and out. Sliding out smooth as butter, which is amazing. In the video I did last time where I was talking about kind of how the card that was sliding up here wasn't sliding up nicely before, I actually realized that was my fault, not the manufacturer's fault. And the problem was that when I did the initial reviewer copies of this game, I had sent the artwork and I had sent the cards at a certain size. And the size I had sent was in metric, and so the player boards were essentially made to the size of those cards. And Skygame just basically takes the files and they cut out based on the die line, like the size you have. Well, there was a 2mm difference between the metric and the imperial dimensions of those cards. So instead of them being standard size cards, they actually made those cards and the boards to the spec I had provided them. When getting the cards then from Game Crafter, which were in the imperial standard size for the cards, they weren't fitting for some reason. They weren't quite aligned, and I was in a panic mode about a day before I went to Essen because I finally realized this error, and this error was my error. So I had to have my local print shop who do business cards literally take the entire stack of cards, and there's a crap load of cards in this game, and cut off 2mm using their business card cutter to cut them. So thank God they were able to help me out. So you'll see this card. It's slightly sharper on one side than the other. There's usually a little more graphics it shows here on. There's like usually a little color that shows the phase that you're in. That got cut off as well for these cards to fit. Now they fit perfectly in these boards, but what it got me thinking was I should probably adjust these boards to fit the standard size bridge card, so that in the future, if I'm ever doing updates and it slips our mind not to cut these cards custom for these boards, then we won't run into an error. So not sure if that came across correct what I'm saying here, but long story short, my fault. Need to make the adjustment, and right now these fit in here perfectly. So if you see, this window fits in, this fits in perfectly. However, if I didn't cut the 2mm off, this would be like slightly like that. So this little image would be closer to this edge over here. Likewise, on this side of the board, if I adjusted that, the only way I could adjust that, quite frankly, would be to move the graphics on the card over so that when this is in the board, and it's like this, I would actually move the, so let's see here, if we get this, kind of emulate this a little bit. Yeah, so it'd be like that. So I would actually physically move this graphic over on the cards this way. However, if I do that, then when it's on this side of the board, get in there, which is also fitting perfect right now, it would be now kind of like that. So I need to actually move this entire window over that way. So little tweaks, little adjustments, but I'm glad I figured this out. I was in a panic going into Essen because we had to cut all the cards to get them to fit the board so they would play test well. But led me to discovering what the issue was. So I'm going to make that change. So at the top, we've now got a window at the top, which I had hand cut some in the boards that I had in place until I got these ones. And Ben from Sky Game brought them, so I'm really appreciative of that. So you can see that that hole is there. We never had that in the original game. Likewise here, if you can see where the food and water is, you got that hole in the water area as well. So we're going to make these tweaks. Another thing that somebody had suggested to me, and this is one of those things where it's like, that's a good idea. I still think we have time to change it, so I think I'm going to do this. But I had a colleague say, well, why don't you have like little guiding rails at the bottom? Because normally this is where we just basically place cards. If you're reserving them, you just drop them there on the board, and they stay there quite okay. But if this board is close to the edge of the table and you hit this, it'll flip up and fall off. So they're saying, well, why don't you take this top layer and bring it in a little bit on this side and this side, so it acts as almost like a slot this goes into, so it just keeps it a little more secure. It's a good idea. So I'm going to try to do that as well, make that change. So the boards are, we're there, man. Like, these look great. If the only other thing I might change is because now they're getting like super thick, is this top layer here, which holds the meeples in, is about twice as thick as I think it needs to be. It has zero impact on the warpability of these boards. So I think I'm going to bring that down a layer. That'll help with some of the weight on shipping, because these are now much thicker than we originally planned, which means our weight's going to be much higher than we planned, which means they're going to expend way more funds than we had planned to ship this. So some tweaks, but we're going to make those tweaks. That was, it was good. It was great to have them kind of live there for people to interact with. Feedback was great. People were like, wow, these are super premium boards. The other thing I got was the dual layer innovation mini board. I'm going to get a meeple here so you can see how this works. But if you guys remember from the Kickstarter campaign, we did it as kind of like as a bonus reveal. We had to make sure the math worked before we did it, but then we figured it out, so we did it. But you see this board, which you can see these like little slots where the dudes go. It may not be super evident, but it's actually dual layer. So these people actually fit in the slot. So there's like a little slot there now that these guys sit in, which is super cool. So I just think it adds to the kind of visual presence of the game. Looks awesome on the table. I think it's pretty intuitive though. Okay, once I get to 8, I'm going to unlock it when you hit that little light bulb. That's the 8th dude that unlocks an innovation. So that was super cool. I'm glad we did that. And those turned out amazing, so they're ready to go. We left this little kind of like white halo around the person too, which I know the factory's like, are you sure you want to do that? And I said, yeah, I do want to do that because I like it. It looks cool. So I didn't want it to be just a straight color across. It helps those little slots pop just a little bit better. So that's why we did that. All right. That's dual layer player board. Next, we've got the cards. So we're going to go through some of these cards. We got a bit of time. Maybe run this for about 10 minutes. It's a quick update. Any questions, comments, concerns, drop it in the chat. I'll do my best to answer. Okay. These turned out super cool. I'm very, very pleased with where we're at. I changed a lot of the iconography. Just kind of refined it a little bit more from those original reviewer copies we did that we sent out to the reviewers for the campaign. Likewise, I still found when we were playing there'd be some confusion where people would say, is this a boost card or is this a like an upgrade card, right? So does it slide into the board or do I put it beside the board? So boost cards, immigration upgrade, like immigration is coming in through the drop. That goes to the side of your board. It doesn't physically slide in your board. And I found when I play test with people, they were still trying to slot that into the board. And you have to remind them, no, that one doesn't actually go into the board. So we just want to make it a little more evident. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the changes we did. So the one change we did was, I get the boost. There's the boost there. So this is an immigration upgrade card. All immigration upgrade cards show these Cairo chambers, these kind of transportation chambers that the people are in. So no matter, you know that if you see that picture, it's automatically going to be an immigration boost. So next is the question was, people would have this little arrow up with the number of people you could add, but they get confused as to which department. In fact, one of our reviewers said, wow, it's so easy to get VNOTs. They just keep pouring into my city. And upon further kind of discussion with them, what I found is when they got the boost, they were just placing the people anywhere. They weren't placing them in the specific department that was indicated on the card. So we moved that from the top left-hand corner to the actual arrow itself where it boosts up. So here you see this can add up to 8 people can be added to your water air department, which is on that pink arrow there. Just to make it a little bit clearer where that goes. Likewise, we didn't want to have any other images on this left side, which when you plug in, it's very evident that this card doesn't belong in the board. The other thing we did was, and that's something I broke. I found an error. Look at that. So when you do, I think we're at like 180 unique cards now. Things can kind of slip through the cracks. And I think that's one of them. Let's see if I had on the other cards. Oh no, yeah, I did it on. That's individual gems. All right, maybe I'm crazy. All right, so for instance, this is the mechanic department. So this one actually did have boost too. So let's review that. Ignore what I just said. So it looks like these canisters, if it's generic, so you can place them anywhere. And if it's going to a specific department, oh, that's right. If it goes to a specific department, the boost now actually shows the actual department on the board. So it replicates the image on the board so you can actually more clearly see where it goes. I'm going crazy. It's been a long trip. It's been fun, but it's been a long trip. The other thing I did was we took like, some of the cards had like if you were mining and you would get like an additional pip on your roll. So you roll, and whatever you got +1. And we had like the gem, it would show a picture of a gem to be +1. Again, wasn't super intuitive to people. So we changed that to actually showing a die and how many pips get added to the die. So there's your die roll, +2. Make it a little bit clearer for people. We added a lot of these images, which we had never done before, which if you look at the actual player board, get it here. We use images from the player board. If there's no physical like upgrade, so there's like a little square here shows what the power is that you get. If there's no power, if it's just a capacity change with a victory point change, instead of having some picture that we slide into the board that then ends up being like showing like, for instance, like this mechanic here. So if I didn't have that image there and I slid this into the board, you would have the regular picture in the department here, but then you'd have like this weird picture just showing up here randomly that didn't mean anything. So instead of doing that, what I did is we copied the artwork that when you slide it in, like this one here, now the image kind of matches the board. So yes, you're changing capacity over here, but you don't have this weird kind of image that means nothing right here. Now the image matches what's here. That's something else we did that was, I think it looks pretty cool. It's pretty cool. What else did we do? I'm looking through the phase 3 stack right now. We added mineral boosts, have been added to this game where we just had population boosts in the past. So here's another one where that's the air water. Again, you're getting lots of victory points, your capacity is changing, but there's no symbol over here. So instead of having some other upgrade image we'd use for the food, for the water and air, we replicate the image from the department, so when you slide it in, the graphics match. Let's see here. Then we did, here's another one of the dice ones. This is where you get to re-roll your die. and take the second. Yeah, but you have to take the second value. But again, it shows it's the die that's re-rolling. Where before we showed a gem and a re-roll, which just wasn't as intuitive, I didn't think. So we made that adjustment. Then we added some kind of more powers because we added a ton of powers to this game. So for instance, this one here. Anywhere you see food appear over here, like this right here, the symbol, it costs you 1 less food. So if you have a card that has like 2 food, 2 air to buy, if you have this installed in your department, you see the little -1 here on this dude. That means if this is plugged into your food and air, anywhere you see the food symbol, it's going to cost you 1 less if you're buying a card from the market. So we've done that across all departments. Here's one for like the power again. Anywhere you see a power symbol like this has here on the left. If you were buying this card and you already had this installed, then you wouldn't have to pay that cost right there. It would be free. What else we have? This is one that I used some AI, so we'll get the artist to redo this in their own style. But I wanted to kind of represent like a refinery. Again, this is another error we found here, so we're going to remove this symbol here, so ignore that. So this refinery gives you +8 gems. You spend 4 gems in a mechanic, you get 8 gems back. And it's meant to be like the refinery department. So that's an example of some of the art that we'll try to get our artists to interpret and give their own cut at it. I want it to be in kind of what they envision, and if they do it that way, I believe it'll match kind of the rest of the artwork perfectly. It'll all kind of fit. One thing that people really like is the artwork. We're getting a lot of great feedback on that. All right, the next thing I changed was, let's go through the events, I think, next. Events and innovations. All right, so let's start off with the events. Hey, Gilman just joined. How's it going, Andrew? All right. 3 gems a mechanic. All right, so here's the power upgrades. And a shout out to Andrew who helped come up with some of these upgrades as well. So thank you for your help on this, my friend. All right. This was some of the feedback we had from the reviewers. And this is just to say that like we listen, right? We do. We listen. So in this case, the reviewers said, hey, when you have the no population growth card, it's too punishing. It hurts my feelings. And I feel sad. Not as bad as that, but they said it just doesn't feel good. It was like you're just getting punished, and then that's one more buzzkill. And they didn't like that there was 0 population growth, because that can really impact, especially if you only have like 12 rounds. That's 1 full round with no population growth. So what we said is, okay, instead of doing that, let's make it that your population growth, you still get population growth, but it's 2 less than it normally would be. So that's how we adjusted this card. And we took the words off the card because some of these cards had words on them before. Still have the population growth. This new card, again, AI art, will get the artist to do their interpretation of this, but no mining this round. If there's a volcano going off, you don't want to put your people in jeopardy. Still have the lost drop run. I've got this little symbol here showing the card to try and make the iconography a little bit more intuitive. That iconography is going to go into the rule book, so we'll actually have the different icons. Trying to work on a reference card too. We'll just see how many of these things we can pop onto a reference card, but just a little kind of reference card to say what some of these icons mean. Various solar flares. This is an idea from the backers. We had some backers saying, well, why don't you just do more different types of solar flares so they impact you differently, which is cool. This hasn't changed. So your power going down depends on the phase you're in. You could either lose anywhere between 1 and 3 V naughts. This is another solar flare. Food, again, by phase will determine how the food goes down. This is something we added, which I thought was kind of neat. Again, I used AI on this, but we'll get the artists give their interpretation. This could literally be anything. This is just an image I grabbed. But this is intended to be international commerce. So when this card comes up as an event, you can make trades with other players. And you're not allowed to make trades unless this card comes up, because it signifies maybe the ships are within proximity to each other. In which case you can offer somebody some, hey, I've got lots of gems and minerals, and you have lots of people. Do you want to do an exchange? That kind of thing. Maybe even powers. If you want to change a power, you might be able to do that. Still, virus outbreak, you lose 2 people. Mechanical, depending on the phase. Again, you take a pretty major hit. This is a cool card. This might even been Andrew's idea, this one. But it's super cool and it plays really well in the game. This is, so it's basically a crisis. So this allows everybody to move 3 people anywhere on your city. So if you got, it allows you kind of just redeploy and kind of reset your tableau a little bit. So this event comes up. It's not necessarily bad. It's kind of good because it allows you to move some people around. Can't move them up to international station, but you can move them in your city. I got another solar flare with different impacts. This one's cool too. This one hurts. So this is, you can see the piece of space debris going through the hull of the city. This means if you have anything in your holding bay, it is gone. Whether you're reserving a card or if you've installed something in your holding bay. It sucks, but that's life on Venus, man. Then we have the international games. So because of trademarks, obviously we're not going to call it Olympic Games or World Games, but this will be the Venusian Games. This plays awesome. We've been play testing this and it's cool. So essentially what this is, and this again was, I think his code name was Sergeant, is one of our backers, but I like the idea and I was just looking for a way to employ it. So what you do is you take, each person takes 3 V-Naughts out of the general supply. They roll them. Any standing meeple trumps meeples on their sides, trumps meeples laying down. So what you do is you remove all the meeples that are in that order. So if they're laying down, but people have some on the sides, you get rid of all the ones laying down. If someone has a meeple standing up, then you get rid of all the ones that are laying down or on their side. And then if there's a tie, then you re-roll off the meeples that were standing up. So it takes 2-3 rolls max. You declare a winner. It's kind of fun. They take their champion and they add their champion anywhere into their city or in the International Innovation Station. So it's a little bit of levity we've added because, again, the game's pretty punching and adds just kind of this light game within a game, and it plays pretty cool. This one here, we never had an event that impacted the innovation station. So now if you have people up there, this card comes up, you lose 1 person from your innovation station. Maybe they went out the airlock. And I think that's the events. And of course, we've got solar storms. That hasn't changed. So we've added quite a number of events, a lot more than we had, which is cool. Next, I'm going to take you through the innovations. The innovations, this is where we had like 8, and we had a lot of repetition. We got rid of all the repetition. Now we've got like 36. Okay, so for each of these, we'll have, as I said before, it costs 1 less. In this case, this department is 1 less air water. If you're purchasing a card and there's air water cost, it costs 1 less. This one definitely was Andrew's. This is just a straight up, or this might have been Sarah's, I can't remember. But you get just a bonus of victory points. Nothing else with the card. It's just a victory point influx if you do that innovation. This one we had before. This allows you to deploy workers here that are overflow from food and air, and then you can redeploy them back to those departments. This one, again, AI will replace this, but this is a like an infiltration card or like a spy card, where if you have this, you can copy someone else's power. One thing we talked about is allowing that to change every round, but it was a little bit difficult to track that. So now what we say is you can pick one person's power that is installed on one of their boards, and you can copy it for the rest of the game, as long as you have this card installed. So it's like an infiltration card. Again, shields cost 1 less. Infinite mechanics, if you have this card, which is very powerful, anywhere there's a mechanic cost, it's free. This one costs 1 less air water. This one allows you to grab a canister from the discard pile. So if you have this card, there's 2 of this card. There's one actually in the deck, in the drop, which is a one-time use. This one's ongoing. So at any time if there's a drop, instead of taking a card from the drop, you can take a card from the discard pile. Very cool. This one, stable shields. Your shields erode every round. Now they don't erode. This one allows you to move 1 V-Naught per turn up to the space station or down from the space station. So it's like a little shuttle. This one protects you. I can't remember whose idea this was, but this might have been Andrew's as well. But it's a shield from impacts. So if you have an event that's going to hit your power department, if you have this card installed, you are protected from that event. This card plus 2 pips on your die when you're mining, less 1 cost on your mechanic. 1 less cost on your food. This one is a one-time use. You can use it whenever you want, but you can use it to get a mulligan on an event. So an event comes up, you place this card or you burn this card, you're not impacted by the event. Probably pretty handy in the 3rd round because those events are pretty punishing. Again, protect you from impacts to your water air department. This one allows you to shuttle people, up to 2 people during each round around your station, so redeploying. This is the Cuties of Venus one that came up. This again was another one of our backers that had this idea. And I wanted to put it in somehow, and we finally figured it out. If you have this card during your population growth phase, you get to add 1 to your population growth every time you have a population growth. This one here allows you to count the people on your space station towards endgame scoring. Right now, anybody that's in your station does not come back. And your endgame scoring is based on the people you have installed in your city. The people in the innovation station do not count, so you have to decide, do I want to send people up there or not? So this allows you to actually count them as a score. Again, stable shields. This one allows you to mine twice on the same turn. It's going to cost you 2 people to do that, but you can mine twice. This one gives you 10 minerals that you can, as an influx into your station. This one protects your food from being hit from an event. This one costs 1 less. This is an auto mining. So this one here, if you have this, it's 1 less cost to mine. So it's automatic. So every round, you don't have to spend a person to mine. You can just roll. This one costs 1 less gem if you're purchasing as a purchasing power. This one adds 10 people to your department. Again, influx of immigration if you've gotten pounded. This one allows you to store people in cryo chambers in your holding bay. This one allows you to... I try to remember what this one is. I think this one actually might be Andrew's as well. Good God, I'll have to go back through my notes. This one here, I believe, is 6 people. Yeah, that's what this is. That's right. So you unlock this innovation, then future innovations only cost 6 people to unlock an innovation. Again, still on German time. Okay, this one here allows you to, every round during the mining phase, you automatically add 1 gem to your... regardless of whether you're mining or not. It's atmospheric mining. This is another backer's idea. So you're kind of pulling like particles from the air and you're making minerals that way. So every round you're just basically adding a gem to your supply. Protects you from mechanic department from events. This one's kind of cool. This one definitely was our friend Sarah's idea, but this one you plug into your holding bay down here. So let's plug it in there. And then now when I put cards on top of this card, it doesn't cost me an extra mechanic to install them. So if I want to reserve a card, it doesn't cost me to then install it after I reserved it. This one allows me, so right now, if you want to replace an upgrade in your city in a department, you pull the card out, goes in the discard pile. You lose the any kind of victory points that are associated with that card because you've decided to put a different card you want more in that spot. This card allows you to store those canisters and keep the victory points on them. This one gives you infinite gem cost. So if anything costs gems, it's infinite. Specifically for the advanced rules. The advanced rules, or the tougher version of this game, is not only you're burning 2 V-Naughts every turn, but you have to burn 2 mineral gems in order to keep the power system going on your station. So you have to mine and you have to give up 2 when you're burning 2 people. This just essentially means you have a stable power, so you're not having to burn those 2 every round. So this card you only pull out for the super advanced rules. This one here... Sorry, that's what this one is. This one's stable. This one is the cost. Anywhere you have to spend a science cost, it is essentially free. This one is cool. This allows you to, if you have to pay a cost on a card, you can choose one of the symbols on that card to be generic, and you can pull it from anywhere. So that's what this is. It's basically a generic worker who can work in any department. That costs 1 less power. And then this one's kind of cool too. This is we call this the overflow grabber. So this little balloon here, you see he's holding a little canister on this balloon. Right now, if you do an upgrade, and say you upgrade by like, you get a card that gives you 8 people to go into your department, and you can only hold 6, and you've already got a full department. Maybe take that card because you want the victory points. Maybe take that card because you can fit 2 more people in that department and you really need 2 people in that department. The overflow is lost. What this does, if another player has this card, they get to capture up to 2 people from that overflow per round. So if different people are having overflow and they're not using all the VNOTs that they have come in as immigration, with this card, you can grab those. You're rescuing those people and you get to deploy them on your board. Very cool card. Absolutely love it. So those are the innovation upgrades that we've added to the game. As I said, some of the stuff we've had in here, we have like placeholder AI art. We'll replace that with Daniel Kuna. We'll get him to illustrate those in how his vision is, and it'll kind of, well, they match right now, but we'll get it so everything is clean. It's entirely Daniel's artwork. Again, people are really happy with the artwork. That was the one thing that came up during Essen, is people just said, man, this game looks super cool. And, the artwork obviously pulls them in. And so we want to stay true to that. So there you are, my friends. That is the update on Cities of Venus. Man, we are chugging along at a fair clip. There's one other thing I'm working on. I'm not going to talk about it on this particular live. I'm going to wait and see if I can actually make it happen. If it does, it will be huge. It will be huge. But again, I don't want to promise anything, so I'm not going to talk about it yet. Not just to tease you like that, but anyway. Feeling good. We're going to make some more adjustments, as I said, to the board, just to make those cards fit properly at bridge size. Engaging Daniel on the artwork. Some of the iconography, I did notice in our... some of the cards, the wrong symbol went in because, again, we rushed these for Essen. So I'll just make sure to tweak those, double check everything, make sure everything fits. And then on to updating the rule book. That's the one thing I've been kind of holding off on because I wanted to make sure that we had all of our upgrades done before we do that. So we'll upgrade that. Once that is clean, it'll go off. I've got translators already standing by to translate the rule book. And we're getting closer. My goal, again, is hopefully get this thing on press or place the PO. We've kind of already done a PO because we've got the molds and everything already done. But by December, if I can do that, that definitely puts us on track for delivering in July, which is what I'm wanting to do. So always on time, hopefully early. That's our mantra. Anyway, my friends, you have yourself a great evening, and we will talk again soon. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.